Alexei Navalny's death in prison marks a significant and dark milestone in the ongoing struggle for political freedom and opposition in Russia. On a fateful day after a walk, Navalny suddenly fell ill and lost consciousness in the penal colony where he was held. Despite the immediate arrival of medical personnel and an ambulance, efforts to revive him were unsuccessful and he was pronounced dead. The Russian prison service attributed his sudden demise to unspecified causes, leaving a cloud of suspicion and mourning among his supporters and the international community. The reaction to Navalny's death has been one of widespread condemnation and sorrow. His wife, Yulia Navalnaya, speaking at the Munich Security Conference, vehemently blamed Putin and his regime for her husband's death, urging the international community to unite against the oppressive Russian regime. In Moscow, a poignant scene unfolded as dozens of Russians laid flowers at a memorial, paying tribute to Navalny's courage and defiance. Meanwhile, global leaders have expressed their dismay, with British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and others praising Navalny's bravery and dedication to Russian democracy. So how did he end up in jail in the first place? For that we will have to rewind back to when he was poisoned. The poisoning of Alexei Navalny in August 2020 is a harrowing chapter in the story of his activism against the Russian government. Navalny was on a flight from Tomsk to Moscow when he suddenly fell ill, exhibiting severe symptoms that prompted an emergency landing in Omsk. The severity and sudden onset of his condition led to suspicions of poisoning, a method historically associated with silencing dissent against the Russian state. Once hospitalized in Omsk, Navalny's condition rapidly deteriorated, leading to his placement in a medically induced coma. The situation was critical, with Navalny fighting for his life while his family and supporters demanded his immediate transfer to a facility equipped to handle cases of suspected poisoning. Despite initial resistance from Russian authorities, international pressure and pleas from his family eventually secured Navalny's transfer to the Charite Hospital in Berlin, Germany. In Berlin, tests conducted by a specialized military laboratory provided conclusive evidence that Navalny had been poisoned with Novichok, a nerve agent developed by the Soviet Union during the Cold War. This substance is notorious for its lethal potency and its use in attacks attributed to Russian state actors, raising immediate and widespread suspicion that the Kremlin was behind the assassination attempt. Navalny's poisoning, coma, and subsequent recovery in Germany marked a significant escalation in the Russian government's attempts to silence him. The use of Novichok not only pointed to an attempt on Navalny's life, but also served as a chilling reminder of the lengths to which the state would go to eliminate opposition. The international community responded with outrage, calling for thorough investigations and accountability for those responsible for the attack. Despite the grave risks, Navalny made the bold decision to return to Russia in January 2021, fully aware of the potential consequences. His arrest upon arrival and the subsequent trial and imprisonment have only intensified the scrutiny of Russia's treatment of opposition figures and raised questions about the future of political dissent in the country. Navalny's poisoning is a stark testament to his role as the Kremlin's most formidable critic and the dangers faced by those who challenge the entrenched power structures within Russia. The incident underscores the broader struggle for transparency, accountability, and democratic freedoms in a nation where opposition often comes with life-threatening risks. So why was the Russian government after Alexei Navalny's life? To understand this, we must delve into his background, activism, and the monumental threats he posed to the Russian elite. Born and raised in Russia, Navalny's journey from a legal career to becoming the Kremlin's most formidable opponent is a tale of courage, intellect, and relentless pursuit of transparency. Navalny utilized his legal expertise to expose corruption within Russia's political and business echelons, leveraging social media platforms like YouTube to reach a wide audience. His investigative work, particularly the well-produced documentaries that dissected the opulence and corruption of Russia's billionaires and government officials, resonated with millions. Navalny's most explosive work targeted Vladimir Putin directly, revealing a lavish palace allegedly linked to the president, symbolizing the corruption Navalny fought against. This documentary, among others, utilized stunning visuals, drone footage, and incisive analysis to peel back the layers of deceit, making Navalny an enemy of the state. Alexei Navalny ingeniously blended YouTube, social media, comedy, and serious journalism to engage and inform a broad audience. By leveraging the expansive reach and accessibility of digital platforms, Navalny made complex issues of government corruption and malfeasance not only understandable but also compelling to a diverse demographic. His approach, often incorporating humor and satire, broke down barriers between the public and the often opaque world of political journalism. This unique blend of content served to both enlighten and entertain, amplifying his message and expanding his influence far beyond traditional media channels. Navalny's activism wasn't just about exposing corruption, it was a direct challenge to Putin's rule. By illuminating the intricate web of graft and the oligarchic structure supporting Putin, Navalny threatened the very foundation of Putin's power. His efforts to mobilize public opinion against the status quo posed a significant risk to the delicate balance of power and privilege in Russia, making him a target for silencing by the state. The death of Alexei Navalny marked a significant moment for Russia, highlighting the intense crackdown on dissent and the government's stringent measures against opposition. Navalny's passing in a penal colony, under circumstances that drew global criticism, not only intensified scrutiny of Russia's human rights record but also sparked a wave of protests and over 300 detentions across the country. This event underscored the perils faced by those opposing the Kremlin and posed serious questions about the future of political opposition in Russia. Navalny's demise, coming weeks before the presidential election, has potentially far-reaching implications for the political landscape, possibly stifling dissent and altering the dynamics of opposition against President Putin's regime. The death of Alexei Navalny marks a critical juncture, potentially heralding a future where opposition against President Vladimir Putin within Russia becomes significantly weakened or silenced. Navalny's role as a leading figure in challenging the Kremlin's policies and exposing corruption underscored the power of opposition in maintaining a semblance of accountability and political discourse in authoritarian regimes. His absence could embolden Putin's administration to further consolidate power, suppress dissent more aggressively, and undermine democratic principles and human rights with fewer domestic obstacles. This situation poses a dangerous precedent not only for Russia but for the international community, as it highlights the challenges of promoting democratic values and human rights in an increasingly authoritarian world. The global reaction to Navalny's death and the subsequent suppression of mourners and protesters by Russian authorities could further isolate Russia internationally, strain diplomatic relations, and intensify calls for sanctions and international oversight. Moreover, Navalny's death could galvanize opposition movements both within and outside Russia, potentially leading to greater activism and international collaboration against authoritarianism. However, the effectiveness of such movements in challenging Putin's rule without a unifying figure like Navalny remains uncertain. In conclusion, Alexei Navalny's legacy as a staunch critic of corruption and an advocate for transparency and democracy in Russia will endure beyond his death. His efforts to challenge the status quo through innovative use of digital media and investigative journalism have inspired a generation. As the world reflects on his contributions and the circumstances of his untimely demise, it's crucial to continue advocating for the principles he stood for. For more insights and to honor Navalny's memory, follow our journey on YouTube and subscribe to our channel for updates on the fight for freedom and justice globally.